And this video is an overview of the decentralized physical infrastructure network category of crypto. This category, also known as DePIN for short, is one of the breakout use cases of crypto because it offers the ability for blockchain technology to actually provide a service that doesn't rely on speculation or trading like most crypto applications. Some examples of DePIN networks would be networks for having a decentralized GPU network, decentralized cloud computing. There's even a decentralized version of Google Street View that's being built with a DePIN network. In this video, I'm going to talk about exactly why the sector has been so bullish, go through an overview of the sector overall, and then talk about some specific DePIN projects that are active today. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, nothing in this video is financial advice. This is solely intended for educational purposes to teach you about the decentralized physical infrastructure network category. And now let's get into it. To start, why exactly would you need a DePIN network at all? What does this have to do with crypto? And there's a few reasons why. One broad way that I like to think about it is that for something like the Bitcoin network, to take an example, miners of the network are being incentivized to set up mining rigs to contribute to the network by Bitcoin tokens. But what if you had a network that rather than incentivizing people to run hashes like Bitcoin, you were incentivizing people, for example, to run a router for a decentralized Wi-Fi network, or incentivizing them to set up a camera on their car and take videos of streets for a decentralized Google Street View, or to set up a GPU network and rent out their GPU and you paid them in tokens in addition to the rent from people who are using the network. That's basically what DePIN is in a nutshell. You're taking that same model of crypto that's used to mine something like Bitcoin, and then you are using it to bootstrap a network of physical devices that are used to accomplish some other tasks. This chart from a Messari report outlines it pretty well, comparing centralized infrastructure to decentralized infrastructure. So on the left, for example, you have CapEx. If you were building out your own GPU mining service, you would have to buy all the GPUs up front. That creates a significant barrier to entry. You'd probably have to spend billions of dollars to set up the network. Whereas with a decentralized network, you can actually crowdsource that, where you offer tokens in the network to bootstrap it. And then you have potentially thousands or tens of thousands of people that say, hey, I've got a GPU lying around. I'm going to hook it up to this network and I'm going to start earning some tokens. And if you follow this channel, then you probably know just how popular these sorts of token mining opportunities can be. The next is the fact that it actually is more efficient when it comes to operations. If you're running a centralized project, then you've got bureaucratic processes like marketing, operations, etc., that eat away on that margin from rents. However, with a decentralized network, because of the nature of it being decentralized, all those rents are actually going back to the network and towards people who are contributing. That potentially allows them to offer more competitive prices, or at a minimum makes it appealing for you as a contributor to the network to run your node. There's also the fact that it's going to be significantly more resilient. Take an extreme example again, Bitcoin. And of course, Bitcoin is so far ahead of any of these other networks right now, but it would be almost impossible for anyone, even difficult for a nation state, to take down the Bitcoin network because it's run all over the world and is run by all these different parties who are unaligned. Well, apply that same philosophy to a decentralized network. You could, for example, have a cloud computation network, and it would be very difficult to take it down, very difficult to interrupt service, very difficult to censor because it's decentralized. And then you have the element of innovation with a centralized network. Although there's of course many innovative centralized companies, eventually those sorts of organizations tend towards stagnation over time. You can look at an example of some older companies like IBM, for example, that was once on the cutting edge and no longer is. With a decentralized network, then that basically crowdsources innovation, so you're always going to have new people contributing to the network. And to give an outline of what exactly some of these applications are, this is a great graphic from a recent Binance report. It broadly can be divided into physical resource networks and digital resource networks, and then those get divided further into subcategories and sub-subcategories. I'm not going to go through every one of these uses, but to highlight a few, for the physical resource networks, for example, you have a lot of things related to Internet of Things. For example, you have smart homes where you might be mining data about electricity usage or temperature in the homes and those sorts of things and contributing to the network that way. Who would sell the data and give you a cut of it in return. You might be contributing your location to some sort of location mapping application, and again, actually getting paid for your data. Or you might be contributing to a decentralized map. So there's actually several networks that are trying to crowdsource maps. And there's one, for example, called Hive Mapper that has done a good job of mapping a huge percentage of public roads in the world. And they're just doing that by having these cameras you can set up on your car, and you earn network tokens for basically contributing to their version of Google Street View. Then you have wireless networks. So for example, there's Wi-Fi networks, there's mobile networks, there's decentralized Bluetooth and other sorts of frequency networks. And by actually setting up a node in your house or your property or even somewhere else and contributing to the network, when people use it, you receive tokens from the network and potentially even fees. So basically creating an alternative, highly robust, highly decentralized wireless network. Then you have some of the digital resources, which some of these might be more familiar. You have, for example, compute. That would be something, think of it as a decentralized competitor to Amazon Web Services, right? That could be general purpose compute, could be something that's more crypto specific. Also can be things, for example, like renting out GPUs for rendering. That's commonly used in artificial intelligence right now. You have some other things, for example, AI specific networks. You have decentralized VPNs, and then you have decentralized storage networks like Filecoin. And the thing tying all these together is all of them require some sort of specialized physical resource, but they're bootstrapping the network by using that element of crypto. And the sector's been doing pretty well. Here's a report from crypto.com. You can see that the total market cap of the DePIN sector, the whole market has been up, but especially the past month or so, DePIN overall has been up. And you can see that total market cap has gone from being under $10 billion towards the end of last year to being almost $30 billion. And a lot of these networks have been growing substantially recently. In total, decentralized physical infrastructure networks added over 600,000 nodes in 2023, and many of them have continued to grow into 2024. This graphic from EV breaks down some of these networks, and you can see that some of them, for example, in the thousands are adding hundreds of thousands of nodes. Many others are adding tens of thousands or even just thousands of nodes. And these range from wireless networks to compute to decentralized sensor networks. All right, now let's get into some examples of specific projects in the DePIN category right now. And I want to note this video is again intended to be an overview of the sector. So I'm going to focus on some of the leaders in the category. This isn't intended to be a way to call low cap gems or something like that. These are going to be projects that are already leading the category to give you an idea of what's out there and what's possible. All right, so let's look at them. First one I want to highlight is Render. Render I've covered on this channel before, way back, and Render is a decentralized GPU network. GPUs have been kind of all the rage over the past year and a half, because you need them to do a lot of rendering related to AI. And there's actually been kind of a gold rush of tech companies hoarding GPUs and buying up all the GPUs simply because a lot of these AI models and AI products, in many cases, the bottleneck is actually who has the compute power. And so what Render is doing is Render is allowing people with GPUs to link into the network. Maybe you have an old GPU that you used to use for gaming, and you can link it into the network and start earning rewards. And if you look here at the stats on the number of scenes they're rendering, then it's somewhat volatile, like many things. However, you can see that it had a massive jump in 2023, and this report is from crypto.com. The price of Render has also been doing very well. Again, I covered this on the channel way back, but you can see just it's gone kind of parabolic since then. Market cap is almost $5 billion now, rank 27. And I would say that Render, in terms of performance, has probably been the leader of the DePIN category. And if you want to invest in the DePIN category, if I wanted to invest in the DePIN category, then sometimes a good strategy is literally just to buy the leader, because unless you're really going to dive into the category and find things that are undervalued, oftentimes the leader is kind of going to track the category performance. It's like the benchmark. Next network that I'll highlight is Akash. So Akash is another decentralized compute network. Originally, they were positioning themselves sort of like a decentralized version of Amazon Web Services. However, they have recently launched a GPU network as well, and so they can also perform those sorts of AI-related tasks that Render is performing. And if you look here, the number of active leases on Akash completely surged in Q4 of 2023 and Q1 of this year. This report is from Binance. I'll note that, to my understanding, a lot of these leases are concentrated in a few clients. That being said, the numbers don't lie. This is very strong growth. And Akash has also performed relatively well. Currently, the market cap is around $1.4 billion. The next network I want to highlight is a really interesting one, and that is Filecoin. Filecoin is a decentralized storage network, and it's been around for a while. It had a major run in 2021. However, I think the idea of decentralized storage is pretty fascinating because really at its core is where is the most important information that you don't want to be censored, that you want to exist basically forever, stored. And you can think of one example that might be familiar to you if you're a crypto investor is something like an NFT, right? You have the ownership of the NFT is on a decentralized immutable ledger, but where is the actual image stored, right? Sometimes it's just stored at a URL right now, but with something like Filecoin, you could have it stored at a location that basically couldn't be altered. And Filecoin has a lot of usage right now. And then the other thing that makes it interesting is that they also have their own DeFi ecosystem. And the DeFi ecosystem has grown to the point that it has $600 million deposited into it, 600 million. And most of that is in liquid staking. So that's liquid staking of file tokens. However, they also have a number of exchanges such as Uniswap on there. And some of those have started to gain a little bit of traction, but they're still relatively small. But I think that the idea of DeFi built on Filecoin is also interesting because you have this decentralized storage network. You have people that are using the network for its real utility, not for speculation. And then you have the file token that's accruing value from that network usage, which can also then be used in decentralized finance applications. So it's an entire ecosystem built around a token that accrues value from storage. And the Filecoin is actually the largest of the tokens I'll talk about today, slightly larger than Akash, or slightly larger than Render, at $4.838 billion. And you can see that it has also done well over the past year, nearly doubling since February. The next network I want to highlight is Helium, and Helium is a decentralized wireless network, and it actually includes several networks, two of which are the decentralized Wi-Fi network and their decentralized mobile network. And this is pretty interesting because they've used crypto and these crypto rewards to bootstrap a decentralized wireless network with nearly 1 million hotspots. So they have 986,000 hotspots around the world that are contributing to this network. And late last year, they launched a mobile plan in the United States. So a cell phone plan, you can get a cell phone plan through Helium for $10 a month. And I think that that's pretty cool, right? That's actually a real product people are using that relies on crypto to bootstrap this network. And if you look, they've had some decent uptick on usage right now. They had a huge spike shortly after launch, and then recently it's been climbing again. This is a report from crypto.com, back up to 1,000 to 2,000 new subscribers per day. And they've also been onboarding a lot more hotspots. If you look here at this report from Binance through the end of January, you can see that both for their Internet of Things network and for their mobile network, the number of new people adding hotspots has been climbing dramatically. And the reason for that is simple. It's the price of their tokens are going up, so the actual monetary reward for running the hotspots is going up. And then it also helps that they launched this mobile network, so people understand that there could be even more rewards in the future. And the interesting thing with Helium that's important to note also is that they have several different tokens. The primary token is the HNT token, which currently has a market cap of 1.2 billion, rank 95 on CoinGecko. And you can see that this one has also done fairly well, although it's been consolidating for a month now. And then the second token is going to be the mobile token. And the mobile token is specifically for their mobile network. The way that mobile works is you get it both for contributing to the network and also for using the network. And then you can use it to spend on various services within the Helium network. And then there's also a third Helium related token called IoT that's specifically for their IoT network. And as far as which of these tokens is going to be better for investing in the network specifically, I would say do your own research. Mobile, again, is specifically for their mobile network. IoT is specifically for their Internet of Things network. And then HNT is kind of the overall Helium token. But there's going to be other considerations such as the comparative market caps of these two different tokens. Another network, and this is the last one I'll highlight today, that you can actually start mining on your own easily is known as Grass. I did a video on Grass recently. Basically, it's a decentralized network for renting out bandwidth for AI companies to use to scrape the web. You can install a browser extension and start pre-mining it now. They have a point system going on. I'll note that the rewards are relatively low in Grass, truthfully. Since I made that previous video, a market was launched for trading the points, and it could be worth it for some of you still, and maybe it doesn't cost anything, so maybe you want to earn some stake in this future DePIN AI related network. But just heads up, the rewards are relatively low. I think last I saw it was trading at 3% of a cent per point. So maybe worth it for some of you, but again, remember that the rewards are not exceptional. If you found this video helpful and you want to learn more about how to make money in crypto, DeFi, and with airdrops, then be sure to check out my newsletter, dynamodefi.substack.com. Send it out every week with the latest trends, strategies, and on-chain analysis. And for more videos like this one, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.